Hey everyone, this is my final mix of the trimester. This was another 1 hour mix I was given in class. I didn't do it at the time, so I'm doing it now to assist with sort of my ability to work under pressure and work in sort of short time frames. I went maybe like 4 or 5 minutes over an hour, so just doing some little touches. So overall, I stayed reasonably within the time limit. To start, I did a quick listen to the tracks and did a rough mix. Reasonably short time. Moved on to sort of topping and tailing each of the tracks, and was stripping some silence when I realized that I was wasting a lot of time, so I moved on to sort of other segments. So I moved on to working with the drums. I started out with a compressor on the snare, up and down. I then sent all the drums to an auxiliary and compressed the drums for the overall mix. Sort of compressed the snare to keep the transients sort of tame, whilst also shaping them and giving them a real sort of punch within the mix. I compressed the rest of the drums mainly to keep them sort of neat and tidy and stay within their boundaries, sort of thing. After that, I moved on to the bass, where I pretty much just did some more simple compression, quite fast. Just keep the notes even, consistent. Try and remove like any audible sort of human error within the whole track. That was reasonably straightforward. I moved on to the guitars. I split them up into sort of 3 segments. I sent all the first guitars to an aux, where I did some EQing. I removed like a slight bit of the muddiness from the low end and increased the mids and sort of high mids to move towards that sort of grunge rock sort of sound we were trying to achieve. This is where I first did the reverb. All the reverbs go to this reverb send. It's a heavy wet signal with a long decay. I did some more sort of compression, once again sort of implementing the same thought process on the guitars, so just cleaning them up, trying to remove any of those loose ends. As for the second guitars, they mainly just got the reverb, sort of didn't require as much attention, so I moved on because I was wasting a lot of time on the whole reverb, setting that up, EQing and compressing the first guitars. I did do some EQ on the third set of guitars for the sort of like solo part. for this sort of segment. So with the third guitars, I really wanted to sort of differentiate between the two, but the three, where sort of increasing the mid frequencies and reducing the low and highs. Got a really bad frequency around 1K, so I reduced that and increased the nearby frequencies to sort of compensate for that loss. Yeah, and then just comped it again for just neatness. Moving on to the organ, I was really enjoying the high notes, so I wanted to increase that within the mix, but also sort of reduce the mids so that the organ doesn't sort of steal the spotlight within the mix. Just really wanted those higher sort of frequencies showing up, and sort of as well moved into compression. Pretty slow release time, but mainly just testing out some different sort of variations, not really having done compression on an organ before. I wanted to give it a go, see what it sounds like. To show a quick example of that. So I got the drum solo. Really subtle sort of difference within there. Tried to avoid getting sort of the psychoacoustic aspect of me thinking it might sound better, but it's actually just the gain changing, so I was trying to keep the levels reasonably similar. Yeah, so then moving on to the final sort of part where I did the vocals. I sent most of the vocals to the Verb, the 100% wet signal, and just did preset vocal leveler for the most part of the vocals, or a couple of tracks to reduce sort of that inconsistencies within the level of the human voice, moving in and out from the microphone. They were sort of given the reverb to have more sort of presence within the mix, because they're competing with the guitars, so I don't want to drown them out. Overall, If I think I had more time, I'd been able to do more detail in the mix. But definitely taught me a lot about my own workflow and highlighted what I need to improve on, like learning more compression techniques and how to work with a lot sort of broader. I need a broader knowledge of sort of dynamics for, like, especially compression for a lot of new instruments, and yeah, especially seeing the organ for the first, working with an organ like that for the first time is really intriguing to me. So yeah, that was my 1 hour mix. Thank you for watching.